We're starting this trail. We're going to try to define the limits of the old Qu'Appelle Trail, as we call it, which isn't an existing trail that anybody knows about, but it was certainly the main trail in Saskatchewan or in the Northwest Territories through most of the 19th century, because almost all the traffic that moved across the province then, or the territories, moved along the Qu'Appelle Valley. Of course, the river along the Qu'Appelle Valley is too windy and difficult to get around for boat transportation, so most of the transportation was with Red River carts, and they followed along the side of the river, between the river and the big bluffs on either side. So for some time now, I've been thinking about trying to put this trail back into action, back into use. So that's really one of the reasons why we started this project. It's called Spirits of the Trail. And the Spirits of the Trail is really, it's the name of our drama about Sitting Bull, or Chief Tatanka Iotaka of the Lakota Sioux, and his counterpart in the territorial side, Northwest Mounted Police Superintendent James Walsh.
Mr. Major! Major Walsh! Louis! Where the hell did you come from? Into Horse Butte, 30 miles down the trail. The Sioux have crossed the medicine line. What? Where? The medicine line. The line between Canada, the parallel 49, Canada, USA.
Brothers, sisters, elders, we will rest here for a while. We have traveled hundreds of miles to reach this place. We've crossed the Yellowstone and the Missouri rivers with the U.S. cavalry guns biting our backs. We are the farthest we've ever been from our beloved Black Hills, and we did not yield.
And it was the relationship between these two men, these two chiefs, I guess you could call them, of their respective territories, that created a great deal of the possibility of having a settlement in the Northwest when it finally came years later.
You've come a long way from the Little Bighorn River, Chief.
We have walked far, yes. We've been chased by the bluecoats, hunted, snared like animals, and they call us the murderers and renegades.
They were angry because of your victory over customs.
Not much of a victory.
What do you mean?
And look what happened. My brothers, my sons, almost all dead. My people are scattered. We will never see our Black Hills again.
Well, you have a treaty, you can claim them back.
No, they tore that treaty up when they loaded their cannons. And yet, they thirst for revenge. And my warriors, they fought over the loot of dead soldiers. And they went against honor, cutting off the boots and smashing their corpses.
I've heard that.
It's bad medicine. But we paid the price when Bearcoat Miles caught us at the Judith River. We destroyed the lodges of women and children.
Just to give you the background for this story, in 1876, that was the year of the great so-called Custer Massacre, when the Sioux were attacked by the 7th Cavalry of the U.S. Army in Montana, just right beside the Little Bighorn River. And to the surprise of the Army and the entire American nation, the Sioux village that resisted this attack, led by Sitting Bull, wiped out the entire regiment. It became known as the Custer Massacre, and it would cause great shock in the American press and newspapers and the American public that the Indians had done something like this, which was seen as a vile treachery. So they were only defending their village and the children from the attacks of the U.S. Army. So Immediately after this event happened, the full army was sent in to wipe out, to exterminate all of the remaining Sioux, all of those Sioux who were still not settled on their reservations, like Sitting Bull. So they began their trek north, headed for the Canadian border, what they called the Medicine Line, the 49th parallel. Believing or hoping that once they crossed that line, they would be safe from attack, from further attacks by the American cavalry and army. So that year, and even more in 1877, these Sioux, over 6,000 in the end, crossed the Medicine Line, or the 49th parallel, seeking sanctuary. The Northwest Mounted Police had been in place then for about 2 or 3 years, not exactly anticipating this, but they'd been sent out west by the MacDonald government to get rid of the whiskey traders, basically to bring law and order to the Northwest frontier. That was why the Northwest Mounted Police was created in the first place, to bring the rule of law to this otherwise ungoverned territory, which had been sort of saturated with whiskey traders and vagrants and outlaw buffalo hunters and a whole lot of people. Most of them not very reliable or friendly. So this was part of the general problem of the unrest that was going on both north and south across the border. Now the thing about the trail was that, the Qu'Appelle Trail, was that both Walsh and Sitting Bull later traveled along this trail. So when we set out preparing this drama, this outdoor drama, which we call a Wild West show or theater on the hoof, I did a lot of research on the history of these characters, and we put it into a short play. Our drama only runs about 50 minutes, Spirits of the Trail, but it captures the relationship and the formation of this alliance and relationship between the Northwest Mounted Police and the Lakota Sioux. And it lasted for about 4 or 5 years, this odd, interesting friendship. The American newspapers were outraged that the Canadian police force was protecting these hostiles or renegades or killers and butchers and murderers of Custer here across the border, and they were demanding that the Canadian government expel them from Canadian territory and send them back across the border, persuade them to surrender to the American authorities at the border, where they'd have to turn in all of their rifles and horses.
It's a gift from the U.S. Army to Tonka, an inducement really, to force you back across the line. Jean-Louis Lagarre has agreed to provision your band for the journey. South. Monsieur Lagarre will escort you to Fort Buford. There will be an Army officer waiting at the crossing to accept your surrender.
I will not surrender, Wapaha. I would rather starve.
But you cannot allow the children to starve, Tonka.
Did you write the letter to the Queen like I asked?
I did. I sent it to Buckingham Palace with her daughter, Princess Louise. No reply. And I begged the government to allow me to go to Washington and negotiate with President Hayes, secure a fair return to Sioux territory. MacDonald heard about this. He was appalled. It was him who ordered my removal.
This is not right. It's not just Wapaha. The Blackfoot, the Saulteaux, the Cree, they've got treaty.
These bands signed treaties with the Queen 7 years ago, Chief. They're Canadian Indian.
In the end, that's what happened to most. Sitting Bull went back in 1881 after about 5 years in Canada, and after the buffalo had disappeared really from this region entirely. They'd been kind of wiped out by overextensive hunting.
And I would die here, hunting buffalo, teaching my grandchildren. And if there's no more buffalo, I'll teach them to hunt gophers.
I'll say this in my report, but it's MacDonald's personal order that the Wood Mountain Post close, and that Commissioner Irvine will be taking over at Fort Walsh.
They send you away because you help us.
There's nothing else I can do to Tonka. I'm leaving the Cypress Hills tomorrow.
Brother. Very well. Tell your Prime Minister that I will go.
Chief,
I have lost hope.
truly sorry.
I make one request for Baja. Take my horse and keep him with the mountie horses.
I can't. It's your horse. It's your horse. You'll need him to hunt buffalo.
No. If I take him, I will have to surrender him at the border to the Bluecoats. I cannot do that.
So he went back to face what he thought was certain death. He didn't die immediately. He spent some time in jail, but in the States, but he was finally released and later joined Buffalo Bill Cody's Wild West show. And he traveled the world for a little while, Sitting Bull did, signing autographs and sort of represented as this incredible chief of the Lakota Sioux, the warrior Sioux.
Perhaps someday you will tell this story. Thank you for your courage, my brother. But we will vanish from your land, blown like seeds on the wind.
Tammy, there's flour for 3 weeks.
Brothers, sisters, take what you can carry. We are going back across the medicine line.
Brother, go carefully. Take courage. Keep your strong heart.
I will keep you here within my heart. My heart is stronger because I have you there.
So as part of my continuing dedication to the history of the region and the culture of our province and this region, we decided to take on this play and make these two characters the center focus of our drama, and bring it this year along the Qu'Appelle Valley, what we call a journey down the valley of the past, because this incredible landscape up and down the Qu'Appelle Valley on either side of Fort Qu'Appelle is still one of the most beautiful landscapes we have in this country. Still largely undeveloped, still retaining a great deal of its natural beauty and maintaining its let's say, rural existence. And we want to preserve that. We're not trying to create a trail here that's going to bring 100,000 tourists down it, but we would like to restore its existence as a trail for horses, for horse riders, horse-drawn vehicles, anything that kind of defines it as being a region that's almost wholly to the past and the history of this province. Anyway, today is our opening day, the opening day of this tour down the Valley of the Past, although we're actually traveling up the Valley of the Past from Fort Qu'Appelle here. We go to along the north shore of Echo Lake to Echo Lake Provincial Park, to Standing Buffalo Reserve, a Sioux Reserve, which is having a powwow this weekend, so we hope to take part in that powwow and part of their celebrations. Then we go to Pasqua territory, which is where our staging depot is and where we're drawing most of our horses and a great number of our riders from Pasqua First Nation. And then we hope to proceed along that south shore of the Qu'Appelle River through Muscopeting and Piapot First Nations, and follow the river valley down past Craven to Lumsden, which we're sort of defining as the end of this portion of the trail and the riding that we'll be doing in the next 8 days. So come along, join us if you like. We're inviting people all along the way to ride with us along this trail, to be part of the celebration of this, let's say, recovery of our history. Not only frontier culture, but some of the frontier values that people down here still respect. There's a lot of horse people that live in this region of the province, both Aboriginal and settler heritages, and we want them all to come together in this celebration of our mutual past. And we hope you will too.
Hey,